Hi, welcome along. Today we are talking to Katie Jackson. Katie, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Katie Jackson. I am yoga and personal trainer. I've been in the fitness industry for quite a while now, doing stuff there since 2006. And I started getting into yoga probably about the time I ran my first marathon, so about 2009. And since then, it just kind of started to grow. And I've been a yoga teacher since 2014. And that is, I would say, that's the kind of growing part of my business. It's not that I don't do personal training anymore or that I don't like personal training. Still fantastic. But yoga is probably where my heart is. And it's what I'm spending a lot of time on for myself. And it's the thing that I really love to share with people.
So, talking about perimenopause particularly, and exercise generally, but more specifically yoga, how would you say that can help people going through this?
I was expecting this to sort of be the first question, and I was like, I think it's such a huge question. Like, where do I start? So I think if you break it down, actually, first of all, and take the physical practice of yoga, which is what most people recognize as yoga. So we would call it the asana. That's the postures that we do, and talk primarily about the physical body. Most of us recognize that the body wants to move. The body is made to move. We're actually really not made to be stuck in front of these desks and these computers all day long. And so moving is good for the body. But perhaps we get to a certain age and perimenopause and blah, 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 blah. And we're also so we've got a whole load of things going on. But we're maybe also recognizing that we just feel a little bit stiffer and we're not moving as well as we used to. And then I think it kind of comes into two camps. So if you're someone who perhaps hasn't exercised very much, hasn't been very active, but realizes for many reasons, maybe it's weight gain, or maybe it is because you recognise that maybe it's going to help your mental health and stuff like that as well, that you want to move more. I think yoga can be a really starting point for people to get into doing something. And then on the other end of the scale, maybe you're someone who does loads of movement and you run triathlons or marathons, or you're the type of person who does back-to-back classes at the gym and you're getting every drop of benefit out of your gym membership. But you maybe recognise that it's just tiring you out more than it used to, or you just realise that your body needs something more than that. You need to start looking at this issue of mobility and flexibility and taking care of ourselves a little bit more going forwards. So from the physical point of view, I think it can benefit us in so many ways. There is lots of evidence out there that a yoga practice can, and the right kind of yoga practice, can help us improve and maintain muscle mass, bone density, these types of things that are really important to us as we lose estrogen and, we think about these things which we never did when we were young. We just wanted to be fit or to look a certain way or whatever. But I think as we get older and as we just go through midlife, exercise becomes less and less about what we look like and actually what is going to serve us best for the long term and for the rest of our life. Yeah, and I teach I live in a suburb of Glasgow. I teach in a kind of community environment. I think there's sometimes that image of California yogis who are all these Lynn Live, yoga panties, people in the yoga studios. And that is not the people that that is not the people that I share yoga with. I have, a huge mix of age groups. But in all honesty, most of them middle-aged and above, 40 and above. I don't have many 20-year-olds actually coming to my classes. I have a mixture of everyone up to my mum recently, who is 69 and is practicing with me regularly over the last couple of years and loving it. And then the other side of it is, I think, the benefit that yoga has to help us relax. So a lot about yoga is about finding balance. It's balancing the energies of the flows of the body, and whether you without getting too deep into the subtleties of the pranic energy system and stuff like that. But I think what that can help us do on a day-to-day level is just bring more homeostasis to our being. So when our hormones are fluctuating, and particularly if cortisol is high and we need an outlet, we need to find something in our lives that is going to help us manage that.
And I think what you said there about the sort of Instagram image of how yoga has sort of become, as you say, that isn't the case in any sort of normal area. I think it's like with all these things, because I see this from the side with my clients of people perceiving that the gym is a scary place where all the skinny people hang out, and so there can be this perception that yoga is for these terribly lithe, lean people, when actually all of these things are just about moving and finding the way of moving that suits you, aren't they, really?
I think there's that, and then there's also this thing of, I'm not flexible enough to do yoga. Well, that's kind of the point. The point of a yoga practice is not to become really, really flexible. That is actually, although it looks like that, it's not really the goal of yoga. It can be a nice side benefit. But what I try to do in really all of my classes is promote strength and mobility. And it doesn't matter if you can't touch your toes. It doesn't matter if you're not head to toe in designer yoga gear. It is just walk up. I'd like to think in most instances you're going to find a really welcoming bunch of people, whichever yoga studio or whichever class you join. And just like other exercise classes, instructors are very different and styles of yoga are very different. So if you don't straight away find a class or a teacher that absolutely speaks to you, try another one. Honestly, there's a lot of different styles out there that people can benefit from.
And do you have any particular feelings on the YouTube yoga people who are sort of coming through? I mean, I know for some people the prospect of going to a class can be a bit daunting to start with, or simply time-wise. So do you think the sort of 10-minute YouTube ones are beneficial?
I actually do. So in all honesty, that's how I started. I was, as someone who was already working in the fitness industry and as a personal trainer, I couldn't really go to classes because classes were in the evening when I was working doing something else. So there were at times of the day that just suited me. So that's exactly what I did. I started following YouTube videos. There's actually a really lovely Canadian website, it's called doyogawithme.com, and maybe we can link to it.
Yeah.
They offer a lot of free videos of different lengths, different styles, loads of different teachers. They offer a bit of a subscription and donation service, I think, but mostly their videos actually are free. And that's how I started. I'd get my mat out, I'd get my laptop and pop it at the end of my mat. I'd say, right, how long have I got just now? I've got however amount of time. And actually, even now, I have a Yoga Go subscription. Yoga Go is it's a big subscription website. And sometimes myself, I'm just looking for a little bit of inspiration or something that's a little bit different. So I think you can't underestimate the benefit of teaching in a class environment with a teacher and someone who can look at your body and modify things properly for your body and connect with you on a bit more of an energetic level to help you through. But I do think online yoga has a place. I do, and as I say, I've done it myself in the past, and I still do it a little bit just now. Pick your teachers carefully. Maybe there's a lot of people out there probably on YouTube who, maybe don't go for the ones in the crop top and the leggings, and I'm not saying anything against them. Maybe they really know what they're doing, and maybe they really know what they're talking about. There's lots of online platforms, some of which are more based in this country as well. And certainly I can give you links to those for people that might be interested in that. So I think if you don't have access to a class, I think that's definitely a way that you can start. You're probably still going to get to a point where you are eventually going to want to seek out that little bit more information, and you're going to want to maybe try and find a teacher that can help you. But if you don't have great access to that because of where you live or because of your job, definitely a good place to start.
Onto the sort of general fitness stuff for the PT side of things. I know a lot of women get to this stage and think, oh my God, my body's completely changing. It's like it's almost letting me down. I can't run marathons at the moment. What's going on? How can we give hope to people that actually it is just a stage? And actually, I know you've studied quite a lot about exercise in midlife and things. And I guess just to give some hope that once all your hormones have sorted themselves out, actually it's going to be okay, rather than thinking, dear Lord, this is the end and I'm now ancient.
Yeah, I think it's a very good point. I do think we have to honour where our bodies are, and I think that's another thing that yoga can help with, because I think there's a real tendency when we go through these changes to want to fight it, and when we feel our weight go up, or our clothes feel differently, and we want to, well, I need to do more to fight this. And I don't think that's always the answer. I think sometimes we do need to pull back a little bit. If you're someone that has been exercising a lot, and evaluate how to make your exercise program work better for you. And we talked about this before. That doesn't mean to say that you'll never go back to that.
Yeah.
But in my experience from clients I've worked with, someone who was doing a lot of classes, she was doing a lot of spin classes and that kind of thing, and she was just knackered. She felt like she was putting on a lot of weight, and she was really, really, really tired. So we changed it. She stopped spin classes altogether. She started weight training, and she felt that she managed to gain control of things. Physically, she felt better. Ultimately, I think she did go to the doctor, and she probably was put on a low dose HRT at some point. Just made her feel better. And you can talk about I'm sure you've had conversations with other people with thoughts on HRT and that kind of thing, but I think ultimately you've got to do what's right for you and your situation. So once she got it under control, and once she was feeling better and that, then she started spinning again. And I think sometimes you just have to take a little pause. I do think we intuitively know what is good for us, but we don't always listen to that.
I think we've had it beaten out of us to listen. And actually, I think that's a really, really important thing. I think so much of going through perimenopause happily is taking it as a moment to take stock and listen to what your body's saying. And actually, do you know what? If your body's saying sofa and biscuits, as long as it's not saying it every single day, 24 hours a day, then it starts to become maybe a little bit of an issue. Actually, it's okay.
I'm a big believer of sometimes we have to lean into it a little bit. We have to, and we will. There will be times where, you just feel like sort of wrapping yourself up in a blanket. Those are times where, from a yoga practice point of view, you might be looking at something like restorative yoga. So restorative yoga is a yin style of yoga. We use a lot of props and bolsters. You are not putting yourself, it's all mat based on the floor. You're not putting yourself into extreme positions. And in those positions that you do take, you're supporting with blankets, props, bolsters, and then you might lie there for 10 minutes and you just focus on your breathing and you focus on your diaphragm breathing. That type of practice it's very good for relaxing the nervous system, for helping to, if we're suffering from a little bit of adrenal fatigue, a restorative yoga practice can be really beneficial for us. And that just, that pause, that stillness, that just kind of tuning into what does my body really need now? What is my body craving? And your chances are in perimenopause, your body is craving some rest. Because the other thing I think that is happening more and more now compared to when our parents' generation were going through it, and we don't have children, but the vast majority of women going through perimenopause, probably because they started their family at a later age than our parents started their family. So they have a family that might still be of a young-ish age, or certainly or teenager age. They're probably in the peak of their careers. So they've got all this stuff going on. And then I've got to get to the gym 3 times a week, and I've got to have my green smoothie to take away with it, or what, So there's all this pressure, and it's run. And I think just taking a moment of stillness, a moment of pause to just try to reflect on where you are and what you're needing. And I think you'll find for most of us, your body, your mind, it will come to the front. You'll start to be more intuitively led to things that are going to benefit you. And then when you start to feel more energetic again, when some of the symptoms of perimenopause start to pass, and for some people they are going to last a bit of a long while. Everyone's different. But at the end of it, then I really think we need to, tell people that, do you know what, life is going to be good again. Life is going to be great. And I think it is a time of wisdom. There is a time of this innate female energy. It is nature. It is going to happen to everyone, and you can fight it or you can embrace it and go, right, this is what my body's telling me it needs to do just now. I'm going to take that rest, or I'm going to change my exercise routine a little bit to try and accommodate that. And even myself, I don't anymore follow a strict training regime or a strict training plan. My cousin's got me signed up for some open water swim, so I've got to start swimming. But other than that, every week for me looks different. And some weeks I've got more energy than others, and some weeks I do more than others. And the weeks that I don't have a lot of energy, I try to walk as much as I can, because actually one of the things that I find for me is the power of a walk for my mind, and at least you're doing something. You're not sitting, on the couch. So just go with it. Yeah, try to go with the flow a little bit, which is easier said than done. But I find answers are in the stillness. We can just encourage a little bit of stillness. We'll get to the light at the end of the tunnel.
All true. And I agree entirely. And I think it's really nice to, because I think for a lot of women it is such a scary, daunting, troubling stage of life, thinking, I'm not 20 anymore, my skin's changing, my body's changing, everything's changing. And actually, as you say, whether it's through yoga or whatever means it is that each person finds, finding that route to, I mean, for me, it's come from taking up powerlifting. I mean, who'd have thought that was ever going to happen? It means that the parts of my body that I don't like are now getting strong, so they have a purpose. And it's what's right for each person at that time. The beauty of it is that if you look at big sort of cardio races, so marathons and triathlons and stuff, if you look at the results across the board, there are always plenty of people in the sort of 50 plus, 60 plus, and indeed 70 plus categories. It is a time for our bodies just to catch up with themselves and get ready for the next stage, rather than this being the end of life as we know it. And I think that's a really important message to get across.
For everyone, and for us that are working with women that are in this life stage, it's a really important message to say that it isn't doom and gloom. This is just a different part of your life, and everything evolves, and you can still do all the stuff that you love. It might have to change a little, but equally, if marathon running is just what you've done your whole life and what you absolutely love, then you're going to keep doing that. You might have to change some of your overall miles for a period of time, but then you might not. Again, everyone is going to feel very, very, very different in this. Guided by yourself, what your body is telling you, what your mind is telling you. Yeah, just try to enjoy it as well at the same time.
Yeah.
When you find, like you for the powerlifting, which I think is just absolutely brilliant, by the way, and I've seen the photos of you, and I just think that's great. But it's finding that thing is the way to keep your body moving and to put a smile on your face.
And I think it's important also to say, which I've covered in one of the other webinars that I've recorded about exercise, that for people who have been pretty much sedentary until this point, there is so much benefit in getting more active, whether that's walking, whether that's yoga, whether that's, it doesn't matter what it is really. The only way really that you can protect your body physically against things like osteoporosis and against falls and trips in the future is by being more active now, isn't it?
100% is, and it's something that I'm with my own parents and with my mum really keen to just, I mean, you know my parents, and they are pretty active, a bit 69-year-olds, but I'm just like, don't stop, you've just got it, because I think as soon as when you do stop, I mean, it's always harder to get going again. Yeah, the body is not meant to sit and lie on couches or sit on desks. The body benefits from movement, the muscles, the joints, the fascia, so it's finding the modality that suits you best. That can literally be anything.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Katie. So when I put this video up in the group, if anyone's got any questions, are they okay to ask them to you?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I don't feel like I really knew what I was talking about. I feel like I'm blabbered on a little bit.
You know so much about yoga. And as an aside, this seems bizarre to mention, but here I am interviewing Katie. We used to do ski seasons together a long time ago, so we no longer hurtle down mountains. We've both become much calmer.
A very different phase of our lives, I think. Where we were burning the candle at both ends in a way that we could not burn the candle now.
But yeah, that would be really cool if you're happy to answer any questions. And And, you know, if anybody is taking up skiing and needs to know about ski boots, you can answer those questions as well, can't you?
Yeah. If you need a new pair of ski boots, come to me. I'm the person to talk to.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Katie.
Oh, good. It's been a pleasure, Emma.